What's up, guys? Artilboy here. Today we're doing another video. Today we're taking a look at the Soviet Hungarian bayonet. Let's begin. So, funny story about this situation, and yes, it's actually named the Hungarian bayonet. So, I got this at an antique store, which is pretty typical normal about it. And at the time, I bought this for 25 bucks. I mean, you know, it's like a Soviet bayonet. It's like jackpot. You know, that kind of deal. So when I did a little research on it, you know, with this Type 2 type of deal, you could probably know, with the whole bakelite, and someone actually showed this similar type, but it turns out to be some Soviet Russian transitional bayonet, one of the more rare bayonets, which it's like, oh, yippee, I got a pretty rare one. And that was in 2017, to be exact. And someone, I think when I was like posting like some Russian gear somewhere on, basically on some Russian, some, you know, Russian gear Facebook groups, and someone says, well, that's not hey, can I see that bayonet? It's just like, oh, this transitional bayonet? It's like, no, that's a Hungarian bayonet. It's like, I was a little ignorant. It's like, I don't get it. Until someone, I actually probably must have decided to say, I'm just gonna let that wait out. And I didn't even know this was a Hungarian bayonet because, you know, I actually thought about it. And someone pointed out, like, it's this thing right here, the circular piece here. It's like, oh, now I see that. So yeah, I was assumed that it was a Russian bayonet, but the funny part about it, this is the Russian bayonet. Now this has the logo, or rather the company's made is it Izimak or something like that? I forgot the name of it, but I know it's basically an eye and all. And this is the Type 2, and it's pretty common about it. Mines have a 566, have 285 on it. This one is made out of steel inside, steel for the entire frog to it, which I don't have that. Steel for this whole thing. Actually, it's no, it's just that area's 2 pieces of steel. And this right here is actually for the wire cutters, which is pretty common for Soviet AK bayonets. But this is the Type 2 to be exact, because this one has made out of bakelite. The scabbard is made out of bakelite, so that's kind of pretty noticeable by it. And now let's talk about the bayonet itself. So this is more likely to be used for things like the AK, Hungarian AKs, the ones with the things like the 70Ms, or no, it's not 70Ms, the I'm mistaken about it, 74s, the ones with the something like this here, because the original bayonets would have is actually much smaller, which I don't have the original model to it, or rather the older model of it, you know, for the 47s. But this is probably for something like the 74s and AKMs. So the handle is made out of bakelite, which is pretty noticeable. It has a hole for the strap to be attached to it. This one has a lug to the thing, actually the lug for the rifle itself. It's rather for the Hungarian type AKs, which that is, or Hungarian Kalashnikovs. But this one right here is actually the button to put onto attach it to the rifle itself. And here's a little button to click in or release out of it. The handguard, or rather the guard itself, has again the lug piece for it, to put it onto the barrel. And of course, this is probably noticeable from that because this one is circular, meanwhile for the, if it was actually the Russian ones, it would be rather squared looking than basically being a circular. So that's another thing. This one is and the blade itself is made out of stainless steel. Of course, the tang itself is probably right here, to be exact, because I don't really see a piece of. Well, I think no. It's just the blade might be right inside of this, right like here, because you're not really, because the handle is here's the full handle itself, has a seam onto the thing. So this is a clip point. And the hole itself, well, I already know that that's for the wire cutters. And as you probably know, mostly a lot, or typically all of the bayonets should be sharpened. I don't know, let's go find out about that one. But weird part about it here is just like that, that particular, like some of the knives I had, like you actually got like, basically have a detail, that kind of deal on top. But for this one, it just doesn't have the thing. But it has a serrated edge onto it. And that's, typical for the wire cutters. And it is a clip point. Kind of similar to like a Bowie knife type. So the size of the knife is around about 5 3/4. Meanwhile, for the handle is around about of 5/4. Meanwhile, for the overall size is around about 11 inches, loosely to 11 inches. So let's get to the size comparison. The size comparison on the Hungarian AK-47 bayonet is this is actually bigger than the paracord survival knife. Unfortunately, it's basically dwarfed by the Soligen Rossberry meat cleaver. So let's test this bad boy out. So the results out there is possibly not that great. I mean, as you could probably see in the test, I was like completely just like smacking it multiple times with it. and try to find one area to basically get a hole in there, and then just went down with it. Yeah, it's just, these aren't like, you know, like light strikes. These are like very hard strikes. Which is just, including this one right here. Yeah, you could probably know that whole thing. Meanwhile, for this one, I just gotta have to stab the thing, because it just didn't went through the bottle. I think what I need to do is like sharpen it and then oil it a lot, and probably maybe it would work. But let's go see how actually sharp the thing is. It's doing well. Oh, it's a mixed bag on it. Like, it could be good, and sometimes it not that really sharp cuts, but I can actually, there's a little bit of fur right on the thing itself, so that's, you know, a little awkward seeing it. So I'm giving the Hungarian AKM, or the AK-74, or well, the AKM bayonet, an astounding of a 7 out of 10. Now, this is the one that does not have the, you know, if it actually is, you know, basically I'll know that mostly a lot of the Soviet style, or rather Soviet bayonets, is not really that strong blades. The Romanian ones are probably well known for, you know, basically not being that sharp at all. But overall, this one, I think if you take care of it and actually sharpen it pretty well, this is probably maybe a pretty good Soviet bayonet. Like, it actually would go alongside with the M7 bayonet, you know, but without the, you know, without being like an actual multi-tool, or rather basically being wire cutters. So that wraps up of the Hungarian AKM bayonet. I'm Artillboy, and I'm signing out. I'll see you guys next time.